Hi there, Natalie with you today with a new process video for Altenew. And today I want to give you a set of cards that I created using the new Wildflower Doodles. And this stamp set is actually very versatile. It actually has a bunch of little leaves and branches that you can add to your projects and to create backgrounds to help you bulk up a cluster, or also as a focal point. So I'll give you I had a few ideas for my layouts, and I usually show you scrapbooking layouts, but I wanted to show you how I'm going to create these cards because I just had this idea and I had to work it out. So I'm going to start with the mod base mask or the stencil set, and I want to create 3 different bases using, I'm going to actually do some ink blending, and this is what the stencil comes in really handy. I don't want to stamp it, I just want to ink blend it because I want to give it some shading. So I'm going to use actually some of the new inks. This is the Sugar Plums, and I'm going to use the 2 lighter colors. I'm going to start with the lighter color, and you're going to see that all I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the heavier application towards the right of the base, and then I'm just gonna kind of stand it towards the left, and that's just gonna create that shading. I'm gonna kind of bring in the light into this base, so one side is gonna be darker and the other one's gonna be lighter, and I'm just gonna continue working with the ink. You're gonna see that again, heavy application on the right, and I'm just gonna work the brush towards the left, adding some color but with a lighter pressure. Now that I have a base, I'm actually gonna come with the darker color. Like I said, I'm gonna use only the 2 lighter colors in this case, and just add to the shading a little bit just to make the vase completely pop, you know, on the page and give them that really nice shading. Now I really love these colors of the ink, so you're gonna see that once I have it, I'm gonna set it aside to dry, and I'm gonna start working in another one of the vases, and I'm gonna use Tranquil, and I'm gonna use one of the taller bases, and then I'm gonna create a small one, and I'm gonna use also the Full Harvest ink set. So I'm gonna put some music that you see how everything gets done. Like I said, same type of blending, and I'll be back to continue the project. Now that my bases are set and done, I'm just gonna set them aside to kind of dry a little bit the ink, and I'm gonna start working on another idea for a card. And this time I'm gonna make it like I work the 2 cards together, so I'm gonna make it time in between for the inks to dry. Now my idea is I want to use some of these branches to create the focal point for this card. And what I really like is I like the tone, I like the branches. It gives me an idea of the shadows, kind of the branches of a tree. So I'm gonna bring in some yellow, and for this I'm actually gonna be using the Warm and Cozy ink set, just because it has those really rich tones of yellow. And I'm using an ink blending brush, and I'm just gonna start going from the top towards the center of the little panel. I'm gonna create a panel for my 4 1/4 by 5.5 card. So I'm just gonna add ink to that, and I'm gonna trim it. I have added some washi tape just to mark the kind of a little bit bigger of the size, just to give me an idea where I have to deposit the ink. And again, I'm just working heavier at the beginning of the panel, and then I'm just gonna lighten up the color. You're gonna see again that I'm gonna use the 2 sets of the 2 lighter color inks just to pop this yellow, and it's kind of an orangey tone, but I really love it. Like I said, I wanted to give the idea of, or the impression of the card of the branches of a tree, just the bottom part being peeked through the sun. So I'm using the color again, the same tones. I'm applying my ink to the panel, in this case using the ink blending brush, and then once I'm ready with this, I'm gonna set it aside to set completely before I continue working. And I really love the way the colors turned out. And you're gonna see that even though I'm not the greatest at ink blending, but I really like the way it turned out. The inks, I'm using Altenew inks, and they are so crisp and so easy to blend. And I'm using actually Nina cardstock for this. Yes, what is it, solar white, and so it works really easy with the ink. So I'm gonna set it aside to dry, completely set before I continue. So now that the bases are done, I'm gonna go back in there. And my idea is I wanna add details to each one of the bases, adding some stamping, actually embossing some of the branches from the Wildflower Doodles stamp set. So you're gonna see that I'm gonna play with some ideas. I really like this one that had these little dots at the end of the branches, and I'm actually gonna stamp. I'm gonna use again the masking or the stencil in this case area, so that I know exactly where I'm stamping the images. And I'm using some of the little stamps just to fill. I'm gonna try to put a lot of attention towards the right of the vases. And you're gonna see that I use the embossing ink from Altenew, the clear embossing ink, and I'm using platinum embossing powder to add the detail onto the purple or violet vase, just because the powder has a tinge of gold and silver, so I think it's gonna show really nicely next to the purple. And I'm gonna do the same with the yellow. It's just that on the yellow I'm actually gonna use crystal clear embossing ink. I just wanted to give it a little bit of texture. I don't want to add the color because I really like the color, and that's gonna be pretty much, because it's a smaller vase, is gonna be the one at the front. So I just want to give it texture. So that's what I'm using, the clear crystal embossing powder. These are all from Altenew. And for the big tall blue one, I am actually gonna use pure white embossing powder, just because I want that one to be noticeable. And you're gonna see that I'm gonna choose these branches that are kind of long, so that they kind of come from the bottom of the vase towards the top. And again, I'm trying to focus on adding my stamp towards the right of the vase, where I added the darker amount of ink or the darker pigment, because that's where the ink is gonna show nicely. The image is gonna show nicer. So you're gonna see again, I'm just going to stamp it. I'm gonna add my embossing powder, and I'm gonna take it off camera to emboss it. And also I have the die set for this stamp. I have the Wildflower Doodles stamp set. So I'm actually gonna take it off camera, emboss it, and then cut it with the die, and come back to show you how I'm gonna finish this layout. Now you're gonna see that I've created a panel again for my card, and this so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a background for it, and for this I'm gonna use the gold string washi tape. And I really like the fact that it has a really light gold line in between the background. So I'm just gonna add the washi tape right on the center of the panel. I'm also gonna bring the gold foil washi tape, that's the 1 inch, and I'm gonna glue it to attach it to some white cardstock. And I'm gonna cut the word welcome. This is from the Welcome Home die set. I'm gonna cut it once from the gold paper that I just created, and twice from white cardstock, and I'm just gonna stack them together just to create my kind of give the illusion of chipboard. Once I have that, you're gonna see that once I stack them together, I'm gonna glue the word right at the bottom of the little panel, or right at the center where I added the washi tape. I'm gonna glue it right at the bottom, and then I'm actually gonna add some foam adhesive to glue the 3 bases together. And the way I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna add some foam adhesive to the yellow and attach it to the purple. Then I'm gonna add some foam adhesive behind the purple to attach it to the kind of bluish vase, and then the vase is gonna go straight onto the background in this case. And that's about it. Once you're gonna see that I put them together, I'm actually gonna bring in some clear sequins, because I think that I don't need to do much more, just add a few details. And I thought about adding some gems, but it was taking too much of the background and also of the bases. So all I'm gonna do is just add some clear gems, some clear sequins, just 3 focal points. So I want to make sure that the eye goes through the vases, and that's about it. Once I have it in place, glue it onto my card, and I'm set to go with my first card. I really love how this turned out. It was very simple to to put together. I love the color inks, the really kind of muted tones. It's so beautiful, especially because I'm using the lighter colors, and it actually shows really nicely with the embossing. So love how that turned out. And I'm gonna go back now to the other card. So you're gonna see that I'm still working with my little panel that I created, and I haven't cut it off the paper yet. So all I'm gonna do this case is I'm gonna bring black obsidian ink. This is the pigment ink, and I'm gonna use that little branch that comes in the set. I don't want to use the outlines, I just want to use the filler part, and I'm just literally gonna stamp it right on the top left corner, kind of creating the illusion of the end of the branches. And you're gonna see how nicely it looks with the yellow background. Gives you the idea of a sunset, of a sunrise. I just love how this turned out. So I'm just gonna stamp out a few of them, just creating the branch, and then I'm gonna bring this stamp set has the smaller leaves. So I'm just gonna bring a few of them just to kind of bulk up some of the images, because there's a lot of white space, and I don't mind it, but I think with the smaller leaves I can add some more extra movement. So you're gonna see that I'm just playing with some of them. I'm just gonna kind of create, like I said, the illusion of the branch kind of coming off the edge of the card towards towards the center of the card. I'm just gonna make sure that wherever I applied my stamping doesn't go beyond the area where I added the color. That was one of the things that I make sure of that. Once I have that, there's a small tiny little set of leaves that come in the stamp set. I'm just gonna add a few of them just to add smaller detail, and that's about it. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go ahead out of camera, cut my panel, and then you're gonna see that I'm gonna bring, this is called the Linear Art Stamp Set. It's one of the new releases. There's a sentiment that says you feel like sunshine in my soul or in my heart, and I thought it was perfect for the background. And once I stamp it, I happen to move a tiny little bit on my right, so there's a little smudge on the A. But again, I'm adding some foam adhesive behind my panel, attach it to my card. I'm gonna bring a few little tiny gems to the especially to the sentiment, just to make it stand out. So you see these gems are black and they're super tiny, so and they actually come with little glue on the back, so it takes a lot of the work. And that's about it. I love how this turned out. The stamp set, like I said, is very versatile. It can help you in this case in the vases to help bring the detail to the vases, and in the second card it actually becomes the focal point of the background, and actually not the background but of the entire card. And even though it's a background, it's just, I love the way it turned out. And as always, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. Make sure you check the blog to see a few more projects that I created with the stamp set, and make sure you check it out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel too. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, guys.